read the famous New York Times story about the old-time car critic who was saying, I got abandoned, these cars just aren't ready for prime time, and so forth. And one of the things I want to ask you is, you and Tesla responded incredibly aggressively to that, saying this is ridiculous, here are the faults, and so forth. And you seem to use that strategy again and again. Is that important in terms of getting the story out there and the acceptance, just behaving like that?
I think it's important to tell the truth, and to rebut things that are wrong. And we actually, we tried at first to do it nicely, which was we talked to the automotive editor and said, look, the things that are reported here are false. Like, we're looking at the log data and they're categorically false. And they were like, no, we talked to the reporter and it's totally true. And we're like, yeah, okay, that's not getting to the truth of it at all. And they made a public statement at the time that, yeah, everything the reporter said was absolutely true. And then we pointed out, like, look, it's actually impossible because he's internally inconsistent in his article. So that is literally logically impossible. After exhausting any other option, we're like, okay, well, we gotta tell the truth here and say this is not what happened. That obviously was a tough battle. There's never been a single death or serious injury in a Model S. So we have 0 deaths, 0 serious injuries ever, anywhere in the world. This compares to gasoline cars that have hundreds of thousands. In fact, there are something like 200,000 gasoline car fires per year in the United States, per year. And yet, when is the last time you saw something like that as front page news? Moreover, there are 250 to 300 deaths per year. There are 1,000 to 1,500 serious fire injuries per year. That's just in the United States. Again, the Model S has had 0 deaths or serious injuries anywhere in the world. We now have about 25,000 cars on the roads worldwide. And the fires the number of, for gasoline cars, there's one fire for about every 1,300 gasoline cars. In our case, there's one fire for every 8,000 cars. So a car is 5 times less likely to have a fire than a gasoline car. That doesn't mean it's 0% likely, because you start to get, the law of large numbers, statistics. Inevitably, there are some issues. But if fire is your concern, you could not be in a safer car. Like, this is the best car as far as fire is concerned. The expert press in the auto industry does realize this, and in fact, there was a great article by the editor of Automotive News, which kind of debunked the Tesla fire risk. But unfortunately, that's within the industry, because they realize that the relative risk, but the popular press does not, even though like simple Google search could sort this out. So I'm not quite sure what to do in this regard. I mean, for sure, if we thought that a recall was warranted, we would do that immediately. I mean, earlier this year, we did a recall for just a little bracket. So we would do that for sure if we thought it was important. But I just don't think there's anything that could or should be done. The three fires that we had were all as a result of very high-speed impact. And in the case of the second fire, which occurred in Mexico, the guy actually was going very fast. I don't want to say the exact speed, but it was 4 times more impact energy than the most strenuous regulatory test anywhere in the world. You're not supposed to survive an impact of this magnitude, but he did, and he initially hit a roundabout and sheared off 15 foot worth of curb wall, concrete curb wall, and then bounced into a 7-foot high concrete wall, smashed through that. by this time, the wheels had been ripped off the car, and it was basically just skidding along on the battery pack, and then smashed into a tree. The driver and the passengers got out. And then sometime later, there was a fire in the front of the car.
And if this is like the one...
In fact, he picked our team up from the airport the next day. The amazing thing is that he lived, not that there was a little fire in the front of the car. So, I mean, essentially, if safety is something that matters to you, this is the safest car in the world. There is not a safer car. There may be a car that is as safe and that also has 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries, but you can't have, like, negative. So,